Hi, sweetheart. We are reading today in the text, the Holy Spirit's Curriculum, chapter 12, and we will read in paragraph 8. By applying the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the reactions of others more and more consistently, you will gain an increasing awareness that His criteria are equally applicable to you. I'll pause here and say, so a course tells us again and again that what we apply to others, we will be applying to ourselves. And so here it's reinforcing that as we learn to do this for others, it'll equally apply to ourselves. For to recognize fear is not enough to escape from it, although the recognition is necessary to demonstrate the need for escape. I've heard it said, knowing is half the battle, because if you don't know, you won't consider that it needs to change. The Holy Spirit must still translate the fear into truth. If you were left with the fear once you had recognized it, you would have taken a step away from reality, not towards it. Yet we have repeatedly emphasized the need to recognize fear and face it without disguise as a crucial step in the undoing of the ego. Consider how well the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the motives of others will serve you then. Having taught you to accept only loving thoughts in others and to regard everything else as an appeal for help, He has taught you that fear itself is an appeal for help. Okay, I'm going to pause here and say, fear itself is an appeal for help. Can we accept that? Let's pause here and break it down, because I don't know about you, but I know my ego is very sneaky, very conniving, and can talk me into almost anything if I'm listening to it. So I've learned to just not listen to it, because it's a smooth talker. And for example, if someone's offended me, if I feel offended, I have not recognized something that they said or did as an appeal for help, my ego will start talking me into my justifications. Okay, I know A Course in Miracles, and I'm someone who has studied A Course in Miracles quite a bit. So, I have to get even more creative in my justifications because I know better. So, for example, someone has offended me, and I've got to come up with a justification for why I'm offended and for why they deserve my disdain or they deserve my attack. And I've got to get pretty sophisticated in my argument. What peace, what happiness comes when we have the maturity to understand that fear itself is an appeal for help, because only love is real. So someone who's afraid of anything is in a delusion, is in a nightmare. Does it make any sense to be angry at someone who is deluded and in a nightmare? No, it makes no sense. We can be concerned for them, but we don't need to go into fear to rescue them. You do not go into fear to rescue someone from fear. You hold the frequency of love and invite them to join you. Not through force, not through fixing, forcing, changing, or insisting, but through a gentle invitation. And sometimes that is simply staying in your power, and there is nothing that you can do in that moment for the other person other than staying in your authentic power, which is love, and not joining them in the nightmare. This is what recognizing fear really means. If you do not protect it, He will interpret it. That is the ultimate value in learning to perceive attack as a call for love. We have already learned that fear and attack are inevitably associated. If only an attack produces fear, and if you see attack as the call for help that it is, the unreality of fear must dawn on you. For fear is a call for love in unconscious recognition of what has been denied. So someone's denying love, it's unconscious, they don't know they're doing this. We've all been there. I had a situation fairly recently where I was on the phone with a friend, and they were saying some pretty cruel things about me. When I say cruel, I'm saying perceptually to ego. It was cruel. It was some insults. I didn't know where it was coming from. I hadn't had anything but a warm, loving relationship with this person prior. There'd been a couple misunderstandings here and there, but quickly resolved. And what I realized in that moment as they were saying these things, because I allowed Spirit to interpret for me in that moment. Now, sometimes I don't. I'm not here just to pat myself on the back. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I don't let the Spirit interpret. Sometimes I let ego interpret. And I escalate and I exacerbate and I bring more fear into the situation. But in this moment, thank goodness, I was able to recognize something's wrong here. This isn't how this person normally talks or acts. And I don't know what's going on, but something's wrong here. And instead of going into judgment, I relaxed and I let Spirit interpret. And it was obvious to me in that moment, oh, this person's scared. They're projecting. This isn't even about me. I have no investment in this. I don't need to fix, force, or change this person. And I was able to listen in love and understand they were going through something that didn't have anything to do with me. And this person asked me, they're like, how are you not getting angry right now? If someone said the things to me that I'm saying to you, I would be so angry. And I don't remember exactly how I responded, but it was gently. It was something to the effect of, well, I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm here. It was just reminding them that I'm not here to fix, force, change, or correct them. Now, I do want to say, if this was a recurring pattern where someone was calling to say verbally abusive things to me, the most loving thing to do, it's case by case, the Holy Spirit lets you know in that situation, the most loving thing to do could be to say, it's not okay to say these things to me. And I welcome you to call me once you've calmed down and we can discuss it then. Nowhere in A Course in Miracles is it asking us to be an emotional punching bag. I just want to make that clear. However, when we recognize that only love is real and everything else is an appeal for help, we don't take other people's trauma and drama and fear and delusions as the truth, and we don't internalize it, and it doesn't have much of an effect on us, if at all. In that moment, I felt nothing but love for this person because I understood they were going through something that had nothing to do with me, other than I happened to be the recipient of some pain and some confusion that they were experiencing. But I chose not to receive the pain. I chose to simply hold space for them to express themselves while staying in love. Can we do that? Can we allow others to have their experience, even if it's delusion, even if it's based on fear? Can we allow them to have that experience? Having taught you to accept only loving thoughts in others and to regard everything else as an appeal for help. He has taught you that fear itself is an appeal for help. And let's be honest, if people are not in fear, if they're in love, they're naturally making wise decisions. They're naturally being kind. They're naturally being open-hearted. So we know if someone's not being that way, they are in some form of fear. Perfect love casteth out fear. That's a quote from the Bible. It's a beautiful line. Perfect love casteth out fear. And when you stay in your love, it helps the other person regulate back to love. And if the only benefit was that you yourself did not have to go into the nightmare, that is benefit enough, because we are not here to fix, force, change, or control other people. Sometimes all we can do is stay out of the nightmare. And over time, that is setting a powerful example. Whether the other person receives that gift or not, or when they receive it, that's up to them. Thank you so much for being here. So grateful for you and the work that you're doing, the powerful work that you're doing. Let us remember today that fear is a call for love in unconscious recognition of what has been denied. Fear is a symptom of your own deep sense of loss. If when you perceive it in others, you learn to supply the loss, the basic cause of fear is removed. Thereby, you teach yourself that fear does not exist in you. We are showing ourselves, we are teaching ourselves that fear is not real as we offer this gift to other people. The way that's going to up-level your life, you cannot even imagine. But it will be potent and powerful And you will become very aware of your own indomitable nature. The ego now has no hold on you. And that is liberation. I'll see you soon.